Second-half goals by Josie Altidore, Jonathan Osorio and Sebastian Giovinco gave Toronto FC a much-needed 3-0 win Saturday over the Chicago Fire. After a poor first half, Toronto hit high gear and began to play with some of the swagger that marked its 2017 championship season, much to the delight of the sellout crowd of 29,190 at BMO Field. Toronto FC's Victor Vasquez takes a corner kick against the Chicago Fire during the second half of MLS soccer action in Toronto, Saturday, July 28, 2018. Mark Blinch, the Canadian Press, it was the first home win in league play for Toronto, 6-1-1-4, since May 18 when it beat Orlando 2-1. Chicago, 6-1-2-5, has now lost 5 straight, with just one win in its last 9 games, 1-5-3. Coach Greg Vanney switched formations to kickstart his team in the second half, replacing fullback Ashton Morgan with midfielder Marky Delgado in a bid to go forward rather than backward. The strategy change worked, with Toronto going after Chicago. Article continued. Bella Altidore's 52nd minute goal came after a wild scramble. Giovinco fed Osorio and the Canadian midfielder's cross caused mayhem in the box. Goalkeeper Richard Sanchez blocked Delgado's low header but could not corral the ball, with Victor Vasquez and Justin Morrow unable to knock the ball in. But Altidore made no mistake from close range for his third of the season. The burly U.S. international, who has played just 5 games in a season interrupted by foot surgery, celebrated by taking off his orange boot and pretending to use it as a phone, presumably to spread the news of his first goal since March 30. Read more. Osorio leads Toronto FC past Chicago Fire. Its hope pain of the first half is behind them. Toronto FC faces tough odds to defend MLS title. Article continued. Bella Osorio made it 2-0 in the 72nd minute after a Vasquez cross found Giovinco in the penalty box. The diminutive Italian kicked up his leg to get the high ball and somehow managed to send the ball over to a lunging Osorio, who poked it in. It was Osorio's 14th goal in all competitions this season, and his 4th in as many games. Giovinco, who hit the woodwork earlier in the half, scored in the 89th minute with a shot that deflected in off defender Kevin Ellis. Toronto started the day in 10th spot in the Eastern Conference, 4 points behind 8th place Chicago and 9 points in arrears of 6th place New England, which held down the last playoff spot. Prior to the game, Vanney said his team likely had to win 9 of its 14 remaining games to make the playoffs. The 13 games left, 8 are against East opposition. 4 of those are against the top 3 teams in the conference, Atlanta, New York City FC and the New York Red Bulls. Toronto beat Chicago 2-1 last weekend at Toyota Park, a victory that snapped a 6-game league winless streak, 0-4-2. It marked TFC's first win since June 8. Toronto fielded a strong lineup, making 8 changes from the team that beat Ottawa 3-0 midweek in the second leg of the Canadian Championship semi-final. Vasquez, who has been nursing a knee issue, made his first start since June 24. It was 0-0 at the end of an entirely forgettable first half that saw both teams guilty of sloppy giveaways. Morrow had the best early chance, but his 20th-minute header went wide. It took 38 minutes for the first shot on target, a long-range effort from Chicago's Brandt Bronico that goalkeeper Alex Bono pushed away. A frustrated Giovinco was yellow-carded late in the first half for punting the ball away after disagreeing with a decision by referee Joseph Dickerson. Altidore had to push Giovinco toward the tunnel at halftime as the Italian, rubbing the back of his head after colliding with a Chicago defender, berated the referee for the no call. Altidore, who had just 10 touches in the first half, came off to a standing ovation in the 80th minute. Chicago started former TFC players Raheem Edwards and Nico Hassler down the left flank. Fellow Toronto alumni Alan Gordon and Tony Tchani were on the bench. Toronto has won 8 of the last 9 meetings, 8-0-1, between the two. The Fire's last victory in the series came April 4, 2015, a 3-2 win at Toyota Park that capped a 12-game Chicago undefeated streak in the series, 6-0-6, dating back to 2010. The ban on supporter group privileges continued for inebriati, U Sector and Original 109. It was business as usual for the Red Patch Boys, kings in the North and tribal Rhythm Nation. The South Stand was fuller than for the midweek game, but it was more subdued than normal.